Hello and welcome to Yerushalmi Berachos, Daf Yud Beis in the Oz V'Hadar print. I want to share 2 points about keeping to the words of Chazal. The Gemara tells us a couple of things. We know that the Mishnah that had just been learned says that Rabbi Tarfon stopped to do Shema like Beis Shammai, and he almost, the Sakanti almost died. And the Gemara says he deserved to die because he was over on the Divrei Beis Hillel, which is how we paskin. And the Yerushalmi adds a line that we don't find in other Chazals. Why was he chayav misa? What did he do wrong? So it says, Al Shem Uparetz Geder Yeshachenu Nachash. He broke down a fence, and therefore he deserves to be bitten by a snake. That's a very famous pasuk in Mishlei, very good, pasuk Ches. So, and the Yerushalmi here has some beautiful lashonos about the importance of listening to Chazal, and it's very fascinating. So it says that even for mitzvahs d'oraisa, many of them don't carry death penalties, but you see that for even a mitzvah, a small mitzvah that comes from the Rabbanan, that has a death penalty there, and that's an amazing thing to think about. There's a beautiful mashal that the Yerushalmi brings, and again, there's many really interesting things to learn in Yerushalmi, but this is just a really poignant example. So it says the Gemara says that chamurim divrei zakenim midivrei neviim. And that lashon is very fascinating. The words of the Zakenim, meaning Chazal, are even more strict than that which the Nevi'im gave us. And it says a mashal. There was a king who sent two of his officers to his officials to a certain city. Now the Yerushalmi says palmatrin, which is a Greek word. There's a lot of Greek words in Yerushalmi, more than in the Bavli. And there's a lot of interesting lashonos. That's one thing that you'll find very frequently. There's a lot of Greek words, and so the Aruch has a lot to say, and the Mefarshim have a lot to say translating these words. But you'll find that very frequently if you keep your eyes open. So on one of them, he said, he wrote a letter that said, "Listen to him only if he shows my seal." And the other one, he said, "Listen to him unequivocally." And the what is this mashal? This mashal is that for the Nevi'im, it says "V'nasan lecha osu mofes," that they have to prove themselves by giving a oath that I sent you. So therefore they have to show it. That's the only time they have authority, and a Navi has to prove himself. It's a whole machlokas what Moshe had to do to prove himself, etc. The famous Rambam and other Mefarshim. But for the Chacham al pi Torah asher yerucha, they have full power. Follow them. Again, how we define what that is a whole different discussion, but that's an important thing. There's a certain authority that the Chachamim have, and very beautiful lashonos that we see here. So that's take a look, and you'll see the words as you learn it. It's very beautiful mashalim. There's a very famous Yerushalmi on Amud Beis in the Oz V'Hadar print, Yud Beis Amud Beis, which basically asks, why do we say the two parshas of Shema every day? Now, if we kind of zoom out for a minute, remember there's basically three-way machlokas about what that even means, because many people say that. Right, I mean, the simple reading is that Shema is d'oraisa. So some people say the first pasuk is d'oraisa. Some people say the first chapter is d'oraisa. Some people say the things have to be remembered, and maybe there's a famous Shagasari on this that right at the beginning. So maybe it's referring to just learning Torah when it says v'shalchol gumecha, etc. And maybe Chazal enacted that these are the words to say. So keep that in mind. But anyway, this Yerushalmi is very famous because it says that what's the significance of Shema? It's that it has Aseres HaDibros plan. It has the entire Aseres HaDibros in it. So the Yerushalmi goes through all the different psukim, how they include the Aseres HaDibros. For example, Anochi Hashem Elokecha is the first of the Aseres HaDibros, and that's Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And if you, by the way, notice that it's Anochi Hashem Elokecha, two lashonos of Hashem's name, and so too with Shema it says Hashem Elokeinu, which is very important because remember a lot of people translate that Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, that Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is Midas HaRachamim, is the same Elokeinu that's Midas HaDin. That sometimes it seems like what's going on over here. And Hashem Echad, it's all the same one God coming from Chesed. Rabbeinu Bachya writes in Shulchan Sha'ar, a very fascinating thing, that the right hand is stronger than the left hand. And most people are righties, most. If not, they'll change you. I'm a lefty, don't worry. And he says that the pshat is because right represents chesed, and Hashem's chesed is much stronger and much more prominent in the world if you look for it, versus the din, which is midas hadin. In the morning when we wash negel vaser, valacha is you're supposed to pick up the cup in your right hand and then put it into your left hand and pour it onto the right first, then back and forth. What's the pshat? What are we doing? It's brought down in the Sfarim that the pshat is it's trying to show us that everything comes from rachamim. That the right hand is Hashem's midas hachesed, which is kindness, and then we're putting it into our left hand. And sometimes things are going to be we're going to experience things throughout the day that look like they're left, it looks like they're din, it looks like they're bad, they're not good, they're not enjoyable, but all that is ultimately coming from Hashem's right. That's what we're supposed to remind ourselves. In this farm they bring down, it's called to be kolel the two midos together, to include them together. But it's a recognition that it's Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Then the Yerushalmi says, Lo Elohim Acherim, Alpanai is Hashem Echad, which obviously means you're not allowed to have other gods. Lo Sisa Hashem Hashem Elokecha L'Shav, the Yerushalmi says a beautiful lashon. That's part of Yahavta. How is that for loving Hashem, not to use Hashem's name in vain, to use Hashem's name? Because Man derachim malka lo lishtavi b'shmei mashaker. If you love the king, you don't use his name falsely, right? It's just a simple thing of respect. It's a respect. Zachar Yom Shabbos Akacho is Laman Tizkru, that same thing, and that's Shabbos, which is very, very fascinating. Shabbos is connected all the mitzvahs as well. So those are the 5 that we have, I believe, for Yud Beis and Mud Beis. Hopefully, we'll pick up tomorrow on some of the rest. Have a great day.